An amazing thing happens when someone says yes. It's good for you, it's good for me, and it's good for the economy. I mean, think about it for a second. When someone says yes to you as a business owner, they get what they want, which is whatever it is that you're offering that they perceive as more valuable than what they're giving you, and you get what you want. For example, let's say you're a highly paid consultant and you do deals at $10,000 per deal. Perhaps maybe you help someone create and launch books. Someone says yes and they get what they want, which is the book that they've had in their heart but not in their hands, and you get something that you want, which is that check for $10,000. They're thrilled, you're thrilled, and the world is thrilled because the world is now a better place. Today, we're going to talk about the process of getting someone from interested to yes. EdTalks Live is next. All right, hey, welcome back to the show. My name's Ed Rush, 5-time #1 best-selling author, your host for the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. And today we're going to talk about how to get people to say yes. In fact, this week and into next week, we're going to talk about how you can use what's in your brain right now to get more people to say yes, to pay you more money now. And I will tell you that much like any down economic time, there will be millionaires and billionaires created in the next 4 years. The biggest challenge I'm going to give you is to put yourself on the correct side of the cash register. I will tell you in full disclosure that I've sold more online products, courses, coaching, and consulting in the last 2 months than I have in the last 2 years. In fact, the business legitimately just really picked up right about April because of the latent uncertainty into the marketplace. And I will tell you that if you're feeling the struggle right now, or if things are tight, that one of the fastest ways that you can get paid is to use your brain, the things that you already know how to do, to help someone accomplish what they want to do and to get paid well to do it. Now, before we get into today's content, I want to just tell you 2 things. First of all, if you haven't jumped into chat, jump in on the right-hand side, tell me who you are, where you are, what you do. And every once in a while, I get an email from somebody that says, "Hey Ed, I've been listening to watching the show every single day, and they haven't said hello in chat. So just jump into the community, be bold, and jump in." Because I'm going to talk. By the way, this week I'm going to do a show on Thursday. By the way, Thursday's show is how to develop sales boldness. Okay, so if you haven't said hello in chat, now's the time to do it. Facebook, you're right below. Okay. The second thing I will tell you, by way of resource, is tomorrow at, I think it's at 11 Pacific time, 2 Eastern, I'm going to host a Zoom training. I'm going to go deep on this idea of you getting paid to help other people in their business or in their life. When I say getting paid, what I'm talking about are minimum deals of about $1,000 all the way up to about $40,000 to help people with it, averaging out maybe in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. So if you've had a hankering to get paid well for what you know, living a beautiful lifestyle business where you can work mostly from home and have the joy of taking a walk whenever you want to, or going down to the beach if you want to, if you live in that area, this is the webinar for you, and it's totally free. The only thing I will tell you is my Zoom account, I could expand it if I wanted to, but I chose to max it out at 100 people. That's because the webinars that I do, if you've ever been on my Zoom masterclass trainings, those trainings are interactive. In other words, I want to be able to answer your questions and to really interact with you. So I limit those at 100. What that means is register now and then get on the show early, because when it hits 100, it's 100 and that's it. And I usually don't send out replays, although I may this week. I'm just not sure how the Zoom recording is going to come out. All right. So without any further ado, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to get into today. And then in a moment, I'm going to jump over to chat and say hello to you. These 3 men that you see on the screen right now, this is the late 1970s. You'll recognize the man in the middle. That is Jimmy Carter, who was president of the United States from 1976 to 1980 when Ronald Reagan took over for him. The man on the left is Prime Minister Begin. He is the Israeli Prime Minister. And the man on the right, his name is Anwar Sadat. Now, leading up to the moment that you see those men shaking hands, it's safe to say that those 2 men and the countries they represented hated each other. Israel and Egypt were at war. And they were fighting over a piece of land that truly belonged in this time to the Egyptians. It was the Sinai Peninsula. It was the area where the Egyptian armed forces were launching all of their attacks on the Israeli forces in Israel. And so these two countries were in a massive state of conflict, a massive state of war. Jimmy Carter got in touch with both of the leaders and said to them, if we met here in the United States, right here in Camp David, would you be willing to just sit down and talk? And initially both of them said, no, I don't want to talk to this person. I don't like him at all. And they just said, no, there's no way that I'm going to get together with this person. So finally they agreed. They brought in with them their political advisors to Camp David, this presidential retreat just north of DC in Maryland. And for 13 days, Jimmy Carter sat down with two of the most influential and powerful leaders in the world. In fact, the peace talks became so heated at one point, they almost left. Sadat just left, said, I'm not coming back. And finally, Carter got to the point where instead of meeting with all of the advisors and all of the aides, he would actually bring them into his own personal bedroom. And they would sit down and talk. What Jimmy Carter did, in brilliant fashion, was he asked these two leaders, what is it that you really want? What is it that you really want? And what Prime Minister Begin said, the Prime Minister of Israel said, is he said, the staging ground for all of the attacks on my country is the Sinai Peninsula. It's been the primary place that they have come north to attack into our country. And so therefore that land is really important to us because it's our southern flank. It's what protects us. And when he asked Sadat, he said, what's really important to you? He said, well, the big challenge we're having is our people who live in the Sinai Peninsula are being attacked by the Israelis. And so Carter said to the Prime Minister of Israel, he said, listen, is that land important to you? In other words, do you need to settle there, or is it just important for you not to get attacked from there? He said, no, we don't need to have that as part of our country. We just don't want to get attacked from that land anymore. And he asked Sadat, he said, now, is it important for you to have weapons there? In other words, is it important for your military to be in this area, or do you just want to be able to have this land that's a peaceful place for your people? And he said, no, it's not important for me to have the military there. The only reason we have the military there is because we don't want to get attacked by Israel. And he looked at the president of Israel and said, listen, if you gave them this land with the assurance that they would have no military presence in there, would you be okay with it? He said, I'd be okay with that. And he said to Sadat, would you be okay not having a military presence? He said, as long as I know that we're not going to get attacked, I don't need my military there. And he looked at the president of Israel and said, I can assure you, you can use our spy satellites to make sure that there's no military in that area. Would that work out for you? And soon enough, both men were shaking hands in front of the White House in what's been known now as the Camp David Peace Accords. The amazing thing about that story is that was the late 60s. Both of those countries, who were madly at war, have never gone to war since then and have maintained lately incredibly tight diplomatic relationships. It all stemmed from the question, what do you want? I mean, think about that for a second. These men were at war. These nations were at war on a misunderstanding over a piece of ground, and all that needed to be asked was, what do you want? What is it that you really want? Today's show is about how to get to yes. And I will tell you, one of the most important things you can do as a business owner, in fact, one of the most important things you can do as a spouse, as a parent, as a friend, is to ask the simple question, what do you want? In a moment, I'm going to jump up on the whiteboard. I'm going to walk you through how a deal goes so that when you get to the end, you can get someone to say yes. And I'll tell you, I don't care who you are, and if you have no business experience, I can show you how to do this. If you have 30 years of consulting experience, I can show you how to do this. If you just have an idea, I can show you how to do this. If you think, Ed, I've never asked anyone for anything, you can do this. I'm going to show you in some short ways how how you can totally accomplish this. But without any further ado, I have to jump in. I said I would say hello in chat, and I started talking about the Israel and Egypt, and now here we are. All right, so Mike Toy jumped in right in the beginning. What's up, dude? Good to see you. First in line. My man was here at 9:17 this morning. Roy says, I'm back like Jordan, wearing 45. So I was like, I think that's the post-baseball Jordan. Space Jam Jordan. All right, so toasty Palm Springs. It's getting cold, warm down here, too. It's interesting. We were having this conversation on chat before the show started. I said, you know, Jordan wore two numbers, 23 and 45. Kobe wore two numbers, 24 and 8. And I said something about great basketball players or great players and reinvention. There's a lesson in there for you, by the way. Roy said, Saul to Paul. It's a thing and very powerful. It's something that happens when you reinvent yourself. so don't ever forget that now is like the greatest time in the world to reinvent. If you've always wanted to do something or be something, now's the time to do it. What's up, Gina Longo? With a brand new picture. She's hot off the MVP. Those are my friends and fans who are working with Jonathan Sprinkles for the last month. By the way, I got some incredible feedback about that as well. Wendell Bugs, welcome back from Houston. Yeah, it's sunny in Houston too. Jim Butts, good to see you as well. Evan Osar, what's up, dude? I have not seen you forever. By the way, if you have any desire to follow somebody who knows how to tell you what to do with your body, you get on a new check out Evan. And if you happen to be a chiropractor, dude, you need to go find him online. What's up, David? That's one thing you don't know, but I'm going to tell you right now. Next week, I'm going to interview David. It'll blow your mind what he's doing right now, and he's using his phone. He's using one piece of social media and his text message app to close $1,000 deals. It's going to blow you away. Oh yeah. So Roy just said, I see the Top Gun playbook. I just got this in the mail. And by the way, if you're signed up for Top Gun, this is on the way to you right now. This is the new Top Gun manual. This thing is a beast, dude. This is over 225 pages. This thing, I'm telling you, it's got like this whole, I'm just gonna show you like this whole section, how to land high ticket clients. It's got full pages full of scripts that I wrote out everything for you so that you've got all the tools. This thing is a beast, all right? So if you haven't enrolled for the Top Gun program, at the very least, come over to the masterclass tomorrow. You're gonna love this thing, okay? It's edrush.com/masterclass. In chat, tell me if you signed up or if you wanna sign up, all right? Let me jump back into chat and then we're gonna get into the teaching for today. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Hey, what's up, Melanie Johnson? Good to see you as well. Hello, Joe from Chicago. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Sally says 11 Pacific. I think so. Let's find out. Let's go over to the website. Sally, I wake up in the morning and look at my schedule and figure it out as I go along. So tomorrow is at 11, correct? 11 o'clock Pacific time. Hey, Lori, good to see you as well. Ski, what's up, dude? Awesome email that you sent me yesterday. It was great connecting with you. Jim McKee, what's up, buddy, from Santa Rosa. We just had a great conversation. Jim, thank you for your ongoing support. You are a man among men. Jasmine, welcome to you as well. Hey, Jeff, good to see you. Love to have you on the show. Thank you to Lisa. The website is actually just edrush.com/masterclass. Dr. Wendy Lee said she likes a shirt. You know the reference here. Breakfast, second breakfast, 11 teas, lunch and afternoon tea. I don't think he knows about 11 teas. Risha, good to see you as well. Tony, welcome. Hey, she's in the process of reinventing. Now's the time to do it. Let me just tell you. And most of my clients these days, we're in constant reinvention. So, Anita, good to see you as well. Hey, Barbara, good to see you. Welcome back. And, okay, great, cool, thank you. And you guys are signed up for the course. All right, awesome. So, let's do this. I'm gonna jump over to Tim Bicker. What's up, man? I was just thinking about you the other day, man. Good to see you as well. All right, for those of you who just joined us, my name's Ed Rush. This is EdTalks Live, and we are in a show talking about how to get to yes. By the way, make sure you're here on Thursday as well. I'm going to do a show on how to develop sales boldness. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to jump up over on the whiteboard. We're going to start talking about how a deal flows and then how you can connect that to money so that you can get paid what you're worth and help a lot of people. All right, and Salit, welcome to you as well. All right, so let me jump over onto this board. Just got to change my camera over. And what I would recommend is grab a pen, get ready to take some notes because we're going to move pretty fast today when I talk about this. But what I'm going to teach you, you should be able to implement pretty quickly. And when I say pretty quickly, basically what I mean is right about now. Now, the premise of what I'm going to teach today is that the fastest way to get paid for anything is to get paid to help someone do something. Okay, when I say that, what I mean is, like, let's say, for example, you want to build an internet business that sells products online. It's a great idea for most business niches. So I certainly do it, and I love the process and love doing that. Now, having said that, you're talking about at least a 2-month process. I mean, you're going to go on and build a list. You're going to build a following. You're going to engage your following. You're going to create your course. Creating a manual like I just created, that thing's a beast, man. That's like a month at least. That's bigger than a book, okay? You're going to create your manual. You're going to start creating some of your content. You're going to get a sales letter. This is a process that takes some time. Let's say you want to open a restaurant, which now might not be the time to do that, okay? But let's say you want to open a restaurant. You're like, got to find a place. You got to get the food. You got to bring in the team. You got to train everybody. It takes some time. Well, let's say you want to start a business speaking, which is a great idea. Go out and share your message. Well, you need a website and a platform and people to follow you. But let's say you want to open up a coaching or consulting business. How much time will that take? An afternoon? Maybe a 5-minute conversation. And I will tell you that one of the fastest ways to make money now is to get someone to pay you to help them solve a problem. Let's talk about some problems. Let's say someone wants to stream their content online. They want to get on to YouTube Live like we're on right now, or Facebook Live like we're on right now, and they want to stream their content online. And you say to me, Ed, I don't know anything about streaming your content online, but I tell you, yes, you do. Because just a few weeks ago, I did a show called the 9 Live Streaming Tips. On that show, I gave you a gear list of exactly what to buy in every budget range. I showed you how to start a show. I showed you how to talk in a show. And if you just watched that show twice and got with somebody, you could actually charge them money to help them solve a problem. Say, hey, put your camera here. I need you to do a sound check, right? I mean, here's how we're going to open the show. I give you all the resources, and that show wasn't even, you didn't have to pay me for it. That was actually just one of my shows. So conceivably, could you just watch that show maybe once or twice, become not an expert at live streaming, but okay at live streaming, and come in to help someone? Of course you can. In fact, I've got 2 examples. One of the most notable and influential speakers in the world, a guy named Brian Tracy, hired me twice. The second time, it was to help him present a new product into the marketplace. In other words, it was to help him with speaking. Now, full disclosure, Brian Tracy is a much better speaker than I am, but he hired me because great business owners are always looking for small advantages. Another person, one of the biggest digital marketers in the world, a guy who had at one point, a year and a half before I started working with him, created a single product launch which made over $10 million in a week. Now, this guy hired me to come in and help him with a product launch. I'm like, dude, what are you helping me? You should be helping me with your success. He brought me in because great people, great entrepreneurs are looking for small advantages. And so if you're thinking to yourself, man, Ed, you don't understand. I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about technology. That's fine. But don't let that get in the way of you helping people, because fundamentally, coaching consulting is nothing more than getting paid to help someone. So if that's true, that means there's 2 requirements. If coaching and consulting is getting paid to help someone, there are 2 requirements. Requirement number 1 is you have to have the willingness to help people. Requirement number 2 is you have to have the willingness to ask for the sale. Did you catch that? If coaching and consulting is nothing more than getting paid to help people, right? Just getting paid to help. And by the way, I was giving you some business examples. This can work in health, in fitness, in dieting, in gardening, in writing, in relationships, in communication. It can work for everything. This is just nothing more than getting paid to help people, which means that you can get paid to do this. And I'm talking about 1, 5, $10,000, $15,000 deals. Man, I've done deals that turned into 7-figure deals. I've helped students do deals that turned into 6-figure deals. You just have to have, number one, the desire and the willingness to help people, which of course you do. And number two, and this is really where the rubber meets the road, you need to have the willingness to ask for the sale. And that's where we're going to go right now, to the segment on asking for the sale. And the reason why we're going there is because an amazing thing happens when you ask for the sale. They could say yes. And actually an amazingly awful thing happens when you don't ask for the sale, which is simply nothing. The process of business is nothing, in everything, by the way, in everything, is nothing more than helping people and asking for the sale. Okay? So let's talk about asking for the sale. Grab a pen, because I'm going to give you a single line that you can use. It's the most simple. Look, you may have, just get a pen, okay? Get ready to write something down, because I'm going to share this with you. But before I do that, I want to welcome a whole bunch of you just joined us. My name is Ed Rush. This is EdTalks Live. Today's show is how to get to yes. In other words, how to get someone to pay you in exchange for something that you're going to do for someone. And my premise leading into the show is that the fastest way to make money now is to do some kind of a deal: coaching, consulting, advising. I've taught people how to do this with no experience, no background, nothing. Okay, and if I've taught people to do this, I can teach you too. I have more success stories than I have hard drive space. Okay, I'm talking like, this was my first, back in 2012. I did a consulting course for 27 people. I basically taught them some of the stuff that I'm teaching you right now. Some of the stuff that I'm going to be teaching you tomorrow. By the way, if you're not signed up for the masterclass tomorrow, it's totally free. It's edrush.com/masterclass. The only thing is I have 100 people on my Zoom, and that fills up and it's full. So actually it's 99 because I get on. It's actually probably 98 because I get on and Delisa, my team member, gets on. So they're there. So make sure that you register and show up early. Usually what I do is I launch the show. I get on about 15 minutes early, and if you get on early, you'll save your seat, okay? So make sure that you do that. And then I was just telling this story. This is Carolyn Sampson. Just look at the top, right, by the way. Her first deal was $74,573, which was a year package. She also got 10% of the business growth for 2 years. That was a single year a package that she sold. Now, here's the interesting thing about Carolyn Sampson. So at the time, in 2012, she was using a piece of software. Some of you remember the old software called Traffic Geyser. And she was offering to help this doctor with the digital marketing. So she came to a training we did in San Diego. In the training, I taught the consulting bit, and there were digital tech guys that were teaching use of the software thing. So Carolyn wasn't paying attention during the software piece, but she was paying attention during my part. And she went out and talked to this doctor that she knew and said, hey, I'd like to help you with your digital marketing. And they started to do a deal, and it turned into a little over $74,000 deal. The funny thing about it was, as soon as Carolyn got the deal, she emailed and she's like, hey, can I come back to the office and do some more training? Because all the things I promised to this person, I need to learn how to do. And after her getting paid and learning how to do it, the doctor said to her, I don't even think I'm paying you enough. But think about that for a second. That's crazy. $74,000. And somebody said, I don't think I'm paying you enough. Why would someone say that? Someone says that because the value they're receiving is greater than that. And if you're a doctor and each patient for you, in this doctor's case, is worth about $3,000 to $5,000 probably. If that's you and you're bringing in an extra patient every week, yeah, it's a great deal. You're getting paid more, she's getting paid more, and you're simply passing the bill on to the people who are coming to you. And it's a beautiful and it's a great deal, okay? So let's talk about how to get to yes. So I told you to grab a pen. This is how to get to yes. My name's Ed Rush. By the way, I'm going to do some Q&A today as well. So jump into, Barbara says, what's the time of the masterclass? Tomorrow, it's 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern, Barbara. The website, I already said, website is, I'll pull it up real quick. It's edrush.com/masterclass. Let me show you if I typed it in right. Boom, here we go. So, it's called the fastest income creation method that flourishes in any economy. And it starts tomorrow in 13 hours and 34 minutes. Actually, that should be 12 hours and 34 minutes, shouldn't it? 11 o'clock Pacific time, noon Eastern, here's all the stuff I'm going to teach you. All right, and I already have over 100 people that are registered, but it's who shows up. So I have 100 people on my Zoom. I always recommend just click the link. You get the link when you sign up. Click the link like 15 minutes early. Get ready so that when I start the Zoom about 15 minutes early and just come on and say hello. When that happens, that way you'll save your seat. This one's going to be full, okay? I've got way over 100 people registered, and it will be a full one, all right? And I have no plans right now for a replay. I might. It just depends on what comes out of Zoom. Normally, I don't send out replays because I like to have interactive events, all right? So grab a pen. Today is, hang on a second, let me get rid of that. Today is how to get to yes. My name is Ed Rush. This is EdTalks Live, the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. And we're talking about how to get paid fast. In other words, how to get paid now. I'll tell you that the consulting world is growing. There's a lot of business models right now that are declining. The consulting world is growing. I should clarify that. The independent consulting world is growing. The corporate, like what's the company that comes in and does Anderson Consulting? That world is declining right now. The big corporations are not bringing in those consulting groups because there's no office to bring them into. While that's declining, the independent consulting world is increasing. And statistically, I could show you that if you take any industry and you are working as an employee in that industry, if you leave that industry and then consult back into that same industry, statistically speaking, you are on average going to make an extra $32,000 a year if you consult back into the industry that you were working in. It's insane when you think about the kind of money that you can make working less, mostly from home, helping people solve problems, okay? So grab a pen and write this down. This is important, what I'm going to say, and you will hear me say this again. So this is the line I want you to write down because you're going to use this. Are you ready to get started working together? Okay. I'm laughing. I don't know about you, but I've been to a bunch of sales training, negotiation training, especially early on in business, trying to figure out like how to get people to sign up for certain things. And some of the training's great, okay, but most of it is like this. Most of it is like, you ever been to those NLP training courses where someone's like, and if someone crosses their arms, you cross your arms, and if someone says this, you say this back to them, and it's all like this weird, somewhat manipulative sort of like NLP methoding. And when I started doing business, what I realized is my first round of clients, I consider them friends. I mean, I've done some of my biggest deals. I think probably if I counted it up, I mean, I did a deal where I got a yacht for a bonus. You know, that was one of my best friends, a guy that you're going to see on the show on Thursday. And so what I realized is when you're talking to a friend about helping them in their business, you don't do like weird NLP stuff. You talk like you do to a normal person. So like, for example, last night, my kids are away for a couple days. Last night, I cut off work early and I just said to my wife, hey, do you want to go for a walk and go out to dinner? And she's like, yeah, there's this Thai place that I've been wanting to go to. So we got in the car, we went for a walk, and then we went to dinner. Because you know when normal people talk to each other, you're like, you want to go for a walk and go to dinner? She says yes, okay? And so when normal people talk like normal people, okay? So what I learned is the best way to get someone to say yes to a deal is to start talking about the deal and then to say, so, you ready to get started working together? And then what would happen is essentially one of three things, but really it was one of two things, okay? So the answers, someone could say yes. Someone says yes, so you ready to get started working together? Yeah. Then you get paid, and then they get what they want, okay? They could say no. Nope. You ready to get started working together? No, okay? Or they could ask a question. Usually, those are clarifying questions. Those are called, in the sales world, those are called objections. You've heard of those as overcoming objections. And I use that term. It's not the best term. Really what it is them asking questions. It would be more like a clarifying question, but in the sales world, they call them objections, okay? Now, there's something you should know about this list. 3 options, right? You said, so you're ready to get started working together, which you should write down and you should just practice saying. So, you ready to get started working together? So, you ready to get started working together? So, you ready to get started working together? Because when you say that, people will say yes, okay? So, tomorrow, by the way, I'm going to give you a technique on the masterclass. Tomorrow, for those of you who just joined me, by the way, I'm doing a Zoom Q&A tomorrow. I'm going to teach you a technique I call the 6-figure text message. It's a text message you can send out right now that will get someone into a conversation to where you can ask them this question and you can get paid. And I've had people do this for $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000, okay? So, are you ready to get started working together? They might say yes, they might say no, they might ask some questions. Here's the crazy thing. This one here, nobody says no. There's something about, I don't know what, like other cultures, no. You know, I mean, like, I was in Israel. Speaking of Israel, I was in Israel this year, this time last year, and you go to the street markets, man, in downtown Jerusalem, and you will offer somebody something, and they will say no. Okay, so some cultures say no. I tell you one thing, ours doesn't. If you're like, so are you ready to get started working together? No one says no. Nobody says no. Here's what they do. They're like, I don't know. I think I need to think about it a little bit. I think I need to sleep on it a little bit. I need to go home and I need to talk to my partner or my spouse. Let me think about what it would do, or tell me more about what you would offer. Or man, the price. Those actually are all these right down here. Okay. So the good news is nobody ever says no. Like, you don't have to worry about it because no one says no. The bad news is it would be better if they said no. Honestly, if somebody's not going to work with you, it's better off to find out than like to keep emailing them and to be like, well, should I keep following up? Okay, so are you ready to get started working together? They either say yes or they ask questions. I'm going to go through this in just a second. Before I do that, let me just tell you, I'm going to go in about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to take your questions. Okay, so if you have any questions, now's a great time to start putting those into chat. And yeah, so Tim Bigger says, shouldn't you also include a what's in it for me? That is embedded in the process before this, Tim. And I'll talk about that actually right now. By the way, if you just joined us, my name's Ed Rush. This is how to get to yes. And I'm just talking about how the process of a deal flows, and I took you literally right to the end. So I took you to the place in the discussion where you're like, so do you want to get married? Or will you marry me? I took you to the consummation, so to speak, of the consulting deal. So let me take you back and show you what the anatomy of this deal actually looks like. Okay, and again, if you're smart, write this stuff down. Okay, and I should do this. I always forget to do this. There is a subscribe button right here. Click that button, and there's a little bell next to it. I do 2 shows a week, Tuesday, Thursday, 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell button. What that does is YouTube just says, hey, Ed's gonna do a show. And every once in a while, I'll just jump on YouTube and do like an open Q&A, and you don't wanna miss that as well. Okay, so hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell button. If you've already subscribed, that little bell should be down there. Click that because it gives you a notification. And man, I don't know if you've been following Google lately, but Google is shutting a lot of people down. But they won't shut you down if you say that this is content that you want. So just to make sure that you get access to what you want access to, click that little subscribe button. And if you have already, click the little bell button. That just gives you notifications. Hey, it's right up here. See on the right-hand side where you got all these videos up there on YouTube. It just shows me there so that you can see, hey, Ed's doing a live show. All right? And it may email depending on how you have your settings set. All right, so let's talk about how a deal flows. Now you can see where this sentence goes in, okay? And again, my goal for you, if you've never done a consulting deal, I want you to walk away and be like, you know what? I can do this because you can, okay? And if you're an experienced consultant, I want to give you the framework and the context so that you can see how to implement this now. And I just gave you my best line. So are you ready to get started working together? Okay? So let's rock it through. David Z says, yes, write it down. Linda says, do you repeat the magic question after you answer the question? I should start calling it the magic question. I'm going to answer your question in just a second. Okay. So how does a deal flow? Okay. So the first thing is you get an introduction to someone. Now, it may be somebody that you already know, but usually that happens, for example, like there's a referral that happens via text. You go to an event, you meet somebody, you're on a live stream like this with me, you're on Jonathan Sprinkle's program, and you met somebody and you're like, tell me more about your business. And they tell you about the business and they're like, I do online marketing and I sell these products. And you're like, well, I help online marketers sell more products. And next thing you know, you get together and you're doing a deal. And it could be a partnership, it could be a consulting deal, it could be some sort of coaching deal. But the first thing that happens is an intro. Whoop, there goes the pen. Come on. All right, here comes back. So the second thing that happens in this process, so this is number one, this is number two, is there's a problem. Now, that's not a problem with you and the person, that's a problem that the person has, and everyone has challenges. If I was to ask you, what are the biggest 3 challenges you're having in your business right now, you'd be like, boom, boom, boom. If I was like, what are the biggest 3 challenges you're having in your health right now, you'd be boom, boom, boom. If I said, what are the 3 biggest challenges you're having in your relationships right now, you would say it because everyone knows the challenges that they're having. And so fundamentally, consulting, coaching, advising is solving problems. In fact, fundamentally, business is solving problems. And so the first thing is you get to know someone. And the second thing is you get to know about a problem that they have. So the first step is an introduction. The second step is a problem. And the third step is a solution. Now, Tim Bicker said, what about WIFM? It's WIIFM. What's in it for me? Fundamentally, when you're doing a coaching, consulting, advising deal where you're getting paid to help someone, fundamentally, it's all about them. So if you're the person, you're going to continue to say you. Remember the story I told in the introduction. If you missed it, you can always go back and watch this later on. The story I told about the Camp David Accords with Jimmy Carter, Anwar Sadat, and Prime Minister Begin. The issue between 2 fighting countries, right? When 2 countries are at war, or when 2 political parties are at war, the reason those countries are at war is because they're thinking, what is in it for me? This is what we want. This is what I need. And so if you're trying to get those 2 together, you don't start by, no, you don't need this. This is what you really want. This is what the Constitution says. You don't start there. You say, what is it that you want? What do you envision America looking like in 5 years? What's your biggest concern? What's your biggest challenge you're having right now with getting people to understand your approach? That's what Jimmy Carter did. And by the way, all 3 of these men, this is so cool. All 3 of these men won a Nobel Peace Prize. These are people who were at war. I mean, these are people who authorized militaries to march into someone else's soil, and all 3 of those men won a Nobel Peace Prize. It started with a problem. It ended with a solution to a problem, and in the middle was the question. Do you remember the question? The question was, what do you want? Now, you've heard me on this show say this question in about 5 different ways. What are the biggest challenges that you're having right now in your business? What are the biggest challenges you're having right now with with getting new customers? What are the biggest frustrations you're having with getting paid right now? What are the biggest concerns you have about your company? When you think about your family, what worries you and what gets you excited? These are all want questions. They're all questions about what someone wants. Fundamentally, a deal is a solution to a problem that someone wants to solve. And again, health, fitness, dieting, business, relationships, live streaming, video marketing, online marketing, social media. Maybe you're great at Instagram. By the way, some of you are really good at Instagram. I can think of Harisha, who's in chat right now. I follow her Instagram account. I really like the posts that she puts on Instagram. And I only follow like 25 people, okay? 30 people. I have like, I don't know, a lot. 60, 70,000, 75,000 people or something like that follow me on Instagram. I have like 25 or 30 people that I follow. Roy Red is another one. Roy's here in chat. If you get a chance, go follow Roy on Instagram. I like what he puts on Instagram, okay? Now, if I'm a Harisha or Roy, and I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to make an extra buck. Well, go help somebody implement Instagram. Do you know how many business owners out there, when you say Instagram, their brain explodes, but they know that they need to be on that platform? If you could help them do that, I'm not even saying you're the one clicking the buttons. I'm just saying you're the one advising them. And you're like, but Ed, this stuff is simple. It's just you put a picture up, you write a description, you put some tags, maybe you put a location, you reply to comments, like some comments, hashtag some other people. It's not that hard. You're like, yeah, all those things you just said, to you, they're not that hard, but to somebody else, they're not going to learn that stuff, and they don't want to learn that stuff. And remember that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, okay? So if you're like, but this is so easy. Yeah, it's easy for you. Why don't you go get paid $5,000 to come in and help someone solve that problem? I'll just tell you, in the last 3 months, I've paid, $6,000, $7,000 on that platform to help solve some problems I didn't feel like figuring out, to help someone solve that. And so if you see content that's consistently being posted to my Instagram account, that's content, frankly, from this show, it's because someone is helping me solve that problem. Okay? So it starts with an introduction, it goes to a problem, it goes with a presentation of a solution. This is where you're saying, hey, what do you want? What are the biggest challenges you're having? By the way, I put this manual way over here. I have hundreds. So remember that line, so you ready to get started working together? If you're like, oh, that's actually pretty good. I have, in the side of this manual, I have see that part of the top that says Top Gun script? I have hundreds of these. Hundreds of these. I'm going to read a couple. Let's say you do help people create products. Hey, John, what are you doing right now for your products? How's that working? What would you like to be doing with your products? Those are 3 questions. That's in the scripts. That's what I mean about asking questions and digging into the solution. And literally, I mean, it's probably 300, 400 script questions I've got for you, or script statements or questions that I've got for you inside the system. By the way, there's nothing like this. I've had the success rate out of this program. There's nothing like it. It's just the reason why it's going to blow your mind. But I have a $5,000 guarantee in this program. What that means is I'm guaranteeing that you're going to make $5,000 out of the box. 2.5 times what you're going to pay for the program. Okay? Then, introduction, problem, solution. Then, you ask for the sale. Remember I started by saying, so, you ready to get started working together? That's the ask. That's this step right here, okay? Introduction, problem, solution, ask for the sale. And then remember what I said? When you ask, one of 3 things are going to happen. They're going to say yes. In that case, you give them a proposal and agreement, which I've got that inside the system, by the way, already written for you. You give them a proposal or an agreement, and you get paid. So yay, okay? They say no, which they never say, or they're going to ask a question, or they're going to give you essentially what's called an objection, okay? So that makes number 5, to counter any objections. And then number 6, to ask for the sale. Linda, I'm going to get to your question, but it's embedded in here. And then repeat, lather, rinse, repeat. Now, you may do this 7 times. They might go, well, do you have a guarantee? Or how do I know this will work? Or the price is a little bit high, or I need to talk to my spouse about it, or I need to think about it, or I need to sleep on it, or give me a day or 2 to mull this over. Those are all simply objections. They're questions. There's reasons, the reasons why someone doesn't move forward on a deal. And all it goes is like this. So Linda asked this question. I told you I would get to it. Linda said, do you repeat the magic question after you answer their question? Yes. So for example, if I say, so you're ready to get started working together, and someone says, well, I really do want to work with you, Ed. I just feel like I just need to sleep on it, okay? So I could say, okay, sleep on it, which is what most people do, and then you never hear from the person ever again, and you're like, what did I do wrong? Okay, or you could do, this is just one of, I've got 15 different ways to do this, but I would, maybe let's say I'm working with somebody and I say, so you ready to get started working together? And they say, oh, I think I just need to think about this a little bit. Then I say, hey John, listen, let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not all that interested, 10 being like, I'm ready to get started now. Where are you on this deal? Is it a 6 or a 7? Yeah, it's probably like a 7. Because the reason I ask that is when people say I need to sleep on it, sometimes what it is there's a couple of questions that maybe you have in your mind that are kind of bouncing around that if we were to answer those questions right now, I could probably get you to a 9 or a 10. So what are you thinking about? Like, are there any things unclear, or are there any things that you want to go a little bit deeper on? Or as you look into the future, is there anything that you want to talk about that I might clarify, help you get from a 7 to a 9? Well, yeah, Ed, here's the thing. Last year, we hired this consultant, and they just really didn't deliver. So I'm a little tentative right now. I'm taking light steps towards working in this deal because I don't want to get hurt again. And now I go, oh, now I know how to counter this because I can go, listen, well, let's talk about how this is different than last year. Let's talk about me working with you. I mean, I'm in your corner, I'm here to get you the result. And so let's just say this. Let's just say my commitment to you is to stick around. Our deal is a 3-month deal, but let's say it takes 4 months to get this thing done. My commitment to you is to stick around until we get the result that you want. In other words, this isn't a time deal. This is a results deal for you, John. If I said that, would that make you feel better? And would you be more ready to move forward? He's, yeah, well, that would make me feel a lot better. And John, if I even put that in our agreement, at that point, would you be willing to take the step forward on our deal? If I just told you I'm guaranteeing your result, yeah, that would help a lot. And then I would say, so you ready to get started working together? Just throw the question right there at the end. And that was a simple way of walking through that, but a pretty classic way of walking through that. A lot of times when I'm working with people, they say, hey, like I work with this guy and I totally got burnt. Like that happens. And so, I mean, I just had this happen. Two of my latest coaching members said to me, they had hired someone last year and it wasn't all that great. And they didn't want that to happen again. And so that was just an objection or just a question that I simply needed to counter. Okay? So that gives you your the answers to those. Again, this is the flow. Intro, problem, solution, ask, counter, and then ask, and then counter, and then ask, and then counter, and ask. All right, so I'm going to go to chat real quick. If you have any questions, now's the time to put that into chat. By the way, if you just joined us, and a whole bunch of you just did, my name is Ed Rush. This is How to Get to Yes. This week, I totally forgot to tell you about this, but this week on Thursday, I'm going to be in Mike Koenig's studio. We're going to talk about some of the success that he's had in the consulting world, simply asking people how to get there, simply helping with their business. Okay, if you haven't had the opportunity to do this, edrush.com/masterclass. That's tomorrow. I can tell you, let me look at the registration here, and I'll tell you. Yeah, so we just had a whole bunch of people just register. All right, so we're way over 100, and I've got 100 people there. So register and show up. We do send a reminder email out just before the show, but come about 15 minutes early, and if you do, I'll be there anyway, just kind of hanging out. You don't want to miss this. If you've ever been to one of my Zoom trainings, you know it is full. You will leave with pages of notes, okay? And for those of you who start with me at Top Gun, we start the class next Tuesday. If you're interested in finding out more about that, by the way, the website is edrush.com/topgun, the most comprehensive course to help you make money as a consultant. All right, so I'm going to jump into answering your questions. So put those into the Q&A segment. Tim Bicker, by the way, Tim is a longtime friend, also a Marine, which, as you know, makes him an outstanding individual. And so he was in recruiting, which basically is sales anyway. So Tim said, when I was recruiting, I would ask applicants, where do you want to be in 10 years? What are your thoughts on that approach? So so here's my quick thought on that. So with business owners, I don't do 10. Sometimes I help them imagine 10 years from now, and sometimes I help them imagine 5 years from now. But Tim, with business owners, I do 1 to 3. Health and fitness, shorter, 3 months. I'm talking a month, okay? Like if you're doing, and again, I'm trying to make this for everybody. If you're helping someone get their body in shape, talk about a month to 3 months. Business owners, talk about a year to 3 years. Most business owners have like a year goal. That is totally unrealistic, but they have a 3-year goal that's totally doable. And a lot of times you're showing them, hey, you want to make $2 million in a year? You're going to be able to do that. It may not be this year, but you're going to be able to do that. Okay? So good question. I really like that. Gina, as a consultant, advisor, or coach, how can you ethically guarantee a result if a client's success mainly depends on their implementation and not your advice? All right, so good question. So you'll notice when I answered that question. So if you can, let's say you're building a website for somebody, or you're building landing pages, or you're doing some lead generation. There are quantifiable things that you can show people that you're going to do. And if for some reason the market doesn't apply during that time, you could always work a little extra harder to get someone in there. That said, at the level of the consulting that I do, for example, the work that I do is usually in like the $25,000 up to $70,000 range. There's no guarantee in my agreement. There's no guarantee embedded or implied. In fact, sometimes I just tell people, hey, you know the guarantee? If you don't do anything, nothing will happen. Now, what they do know is that I'm coming alongside of them and I'm there to help them get a result. They also know when they get into coaching, for those of you in coaching, you know this. I have a list of things that people get in coaching, but once you get into coaching, you find out that you get a lot more access to me than you thought you did, okay? And what they know is that I'm coming alongside of them to help them achieve their objective and their goal, but they also know it's their implementation that's going to be able to get that result. And part of my intake process into coaching, Gina, is the person who comes into coaching, actually as a part of the agreement that we make, they agree that they're going to be implementing the strategy. So actually, when we do an agreement, it comes both ways. Their part of the agreement isn't just the payment part. Their part is confidentiality, transparency, implementation. Those are all parts of my agreement that come back from the coaching member that I have. And I don't do guarantees for coaching, consulting, advising. What I was simply doing was answering that objection. And by the way, you'll see, well, you're in Top Gun, right? So you'll see, it's at the end of next week, I'm going to start getting into the sales objections. You'll see that one of the counters for the do you guarantee a question is sometimes they just say, yeah, I can guarantee if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. What I can tell you though, John, is we're going to be together and I'm going to work with you to get a result, okay? And I'm here not to put time in, I'm here to help you get a result. That's the way I would counter the guarantee question. Good question, I like that. Adele Wilson, what's up? There's somebody else you should follow. By the way, I did mention Harisha and Roy. Her Instagram is like super easy to remember. Horacha, which is her first name, and Roy_Red is Roy, okay? So I said you should follow them on Instagram because you'll see me liking their posts all the time. Roy says, Ed, do you give your webinar funnel in the course? I don't have that as a part of the Top Gun course, Roy, but if you remind me, I'll teach you all the way through it. Let me tell you, our webinar funnel, what we do here, it's worth signing up for every one of our Zoom meetings just to see how we do it, okay? And so, Roy, what I will do, I will give you, this is a total awesome bonus, by the way. I will give you an entire document with a whole set of email copy from the first email to the last email. That's about 7 emails that we use to put our people into our Zoom meetings. And I'll also walk you through how we do it. It'll blow your mind, okay? So I'm gonna do that as a bonus for the folks who are in the Top Gun course. Only because he asked, man. Shoot. You know, sometimes, Roy, I should just say no. But no, that'll be good. And I could give you all the emails. It'll blow your mind. Thanks for saying that, by the way, Roy. That is very nice. Linda says, when they say yes, what's a good way for them to put down a deposit? So, okay, so let's say, Linda, you're doing a $10,000 deal. The best case scenario is that you get paid a $10,000 check, okay? If you are worried about somebody bailing in between, so the deposit's a great idea because it's a step. And when people take that first step, they're way more likely to take the next step. So if someone said yes, you're like, great, let me put together everything and I'll get it all to you and we'll meet again tomorrow. And that's important, by the way. If I'm in the middle of the deal and someone says yes, I'm gonna meet with them again really quickly if we're finalizing some things. That's really important. Don't let any time delay. Like, I'll get some stuff together and we'll be on the phone in an hour, okay? But one of the things I'll do is I'll often have someone make just a $500 deposit that gets them into the program where they're going to make the rest of the payments. So what I usually do is just say, so our standard operating procedure is we do a small deposit that gets your feet into the program and it gets us started with the application process. So that deposit is typically about $500. It can be less or more. It's totally up to you what you want to do. But $500 is about what we normally do. How do you want to cover that? We just don't want to do like a credit card, and that's about as quickly as you can get someone to pay you $500. Now, it's interesting that you asked that question, because if you say, normally we do a short deposit, it's $500. If you want to do a little bit less, that's fine with me. And if they're like, oh, now you know they might not be as serious about the deal as they were. Okay, so that's just a simple little script that you can use about that. Linda says people who are concerned about the guarantee are probably not committed enough. True. Although you do get people, I get a lot of people who've been burned. I don't know what it is about this self-improvement world, man, and coaching. Like there's some people that do masterminds. So you'll sign up with them, you'll go to an event, and the guru's like, hey, I'm doing a mastermind, and it's like $15,000 to be in my mastermind. And you're like, man, I want to be in a mastermind with this guy. And then you show up, and it's like 120 people in like table rounds, and you never even see the person that signed you up for the mastermind. And so I have people that, and by the way, when I do a mastermind, there are 18 businesses at max in the room, and I'm there all 2 days for 3 separate 2 days. Okay, so because that's if it gets past 18, I do 2 for that reason, because I know so many people who've been burned by that fake mastermind thing, that when I do my masterminds, it's always intimate and I'm always there. I'm about to sneeze, by the way. Hang on. Hang on. All right, and I'm almost out of time, by the way. Some stuff here. I present my proposal and give prospects 24 to 48 hours to make a decision. I know it's against what most people teach. Yeah, so what I always do is I always ask them, how long do you need? I do it like this. So I'll go, let's say someone says I really need to think about it. I'll go, awesome. Hey, I'll tell you what, why don't we schedule a follow-up? You tell me, how much time do you need to think through this? And I will say something like a day, 2 days. Like if I want to answer to a question, oftentimes I'll give them the answer, right? So I don't want to hear a week. So I say, how long do you typically need? A day, 2 days? And they'll go, yeah, 2 days. I go, great. Today's Monday. Let's meet on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Let's set the time right now for us to meet. And I will always set the follow-up appointment. Because if you don't, you're going to email them and they're never going to reply if they don't have an answer for you, okay? Yes is the answer to that question. So for those of you who sign up for Top Gun, is there a separate membership site than for Big Pivot and Ultimate Speaker? If not, you'll get access in it. It will be towards the end of this week, and it might be next month. So the class itself starts on Tuesday. I'm doing a little pre-session on Monday, which if you ask about it, I'll tell you about it. But on Tuesday, I'm doing we're starting the class. So the membership site is in finalization right now. There will be an initial video that goes in there, but then everything else is the content for the video. The video and the manual will be there, and then everything else will be the content that's added in there as we begin to teach. There's a lot of stuff, man. Let me tell you, if you are Ultimate Speaker, there is at least 50% more content in this manual. This thing is so great, though, and all the chapters, like all the chapters have Top Gun names. So, for example, Module 14, Pitch Part 2. Countering objections when she's lost that love and feeling. I thought that was so funny, putting all the Top Gun quotes in the chapter titles. So, Module 17, Produce. You can be my wingman anytime by creating happy clients. You got to keep yourself interested. All right, so very good. I am awesome. I'm studying to be awesome. Tony says, would you say yes to a request for a one-on-one Q&A? I don't know what you're asking. You can email me, Tony, if you want, coaching@edrush.com. Just put what you want in an email. I like it. Thanks, Roy. All right, Adele, you are the best too. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up today's show. By the way, Thursday, I'm with my man Mike Koenigs, and we're going to talk about consulting, how to make money as a consultant. I think I messed up my my dates because how to develop sales boldness is actually next week. All right, but we're going to do it anyway. If you have not done so, edrush.com/masterclass is below. If you want to check out the product that launches next week, The deadline, I think, for this is Saturday. edrush.com/topgun. And for those of you who are like on the fence, but you know you're going to sign up anyway, there are bonuses for getting it early. Remember I mentioned I'm going to do a little training on Monday. If you're interested in getting a little bit extra help and maybe a little bit of attention and coaching, just go sign up. They're guaranteed. Look at the guarantee. The guarantee is you're going to make $5,000 in the first 2 months or you get your money back, which basically means the course is free because either you're going to make it money or you're going to get your money back. It's a pretty good deal, okay? So if you're like, hey, Ed, I'm already in, come to the masterclass, of course, but if you go sign up now, when you go sign up now, you'll get an extra couple bonuses that won't be available at the end of the week, all right? So without any further ado, this was How to Get to Yes. My name is Ed Rush. This is the show today. Not sure about that one just yet, Anita. Not totally sure. I just decided to do it yesterday. So I will figure that out. I'll let you know. All right. So that's it for today. Hey, here's the thing. Remember, go back to what I said about in the very beginning. Coaching, consulting, advising is the fastest way to get paid, in my opinion. No questions asked. And it comes down to two things. Number one, your desire and your willingness to help people. And number two, your willingness to ask for the sale. If you can do those two things, you can get paid. And I know that maybe you've never done it before. And I know that you're like the voice in the back of your head saying, yeah, but Ed, I probably need more training or I need some certification. You don't. I have story after story. I told you about Carolyn Sampson. I didn't tell you about Ian Bosler, 37,000. I didn't tell you about Zamira Jones, who actually came out of ABC and Disney to start his own consulting career and did over $138,000 in his first 60 days, over 60 days. Or Kendra Dixon, who came to learn some digital marketing for her husband's business and ended up being a consultant going on to make 6 figures. Or Rob Cuesta, same thing. Rob's one of the biggest digital marketing consultants now in the world who came through our program. Or Megan Fitzgerald and Mayor Glorfield, who closed out of my training $85,000 and $55,000 deals. All this is to say I know what I'm doing, okay? I've done this enough to know what works. And hopefully you can see the implementation is very, very simple, okay? So that's it for today's show. Make sure you join us on Thursday. We're going to have a blast talking about how to make money with what you already know. My name is Ed Rush. This is EdTalks Live, the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. Make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell. Make sure you get notifications, and I will talk to you I'll talk to you tomorrow. Come join on the masterclass, but the show's coming back on Thursday. Don't forget, I love you, and I like you, and you're going to change the world. EdTalks Live is out.